Welcome to Transcendent. I'm Raya, and I'm the daughter.
And I'm Joe, and I'm the dad.
I hear this guy was on trial, and he talked to his lawyer. He said, I'm really worried about how the case is going to go. Do you think I should send the judge a box of cigars? The lawyer said, no. This judge is really serious about justice. If you do that, the judge is going to actually figure that you're trying to bias things and will probably hold that against you. Well, a week went by, and the judgment came back in this guy's favor.
Whoa.
Yeah. And the lawyer said, aren't you glad I gave you that advice about sending the box of cigars? He says, what are you talking about? I did send the box of cigars. And I included the plaintiff's business card.
Are you concerned that you maybe aren't surrounding yourself with enough allies, or maybe the people that are just giving you lip service are not really supporting you? Ally spotting. It's the art of discerning who is likely to be a safe, supporting person at work or in the family or in healthcare or anything where you have connection. Who's likely to be a true ally?
You know, different contexts are going to make this more important or less important. There are some spaces where you know the people there and it's not that big of a deal and everything is good. But I know that there are new spaces that I can come into and I feel like, okay, who can I really be myself around and who do I need to be more guarded around?
And how do you do that?
Well, and it's going to be different in different places, but we've got some really good tips for doing it.
Right.
Now, this episode is not just for those of us in the LGBTQ plus community, because as we talk about this, I think that even our ally listeners are going to get a lot out of this, because you're going to be thinking about what an ally means to someone like me in the community, and you'll get a little glimpse into how you yourself can be a little better ally.
Exactly. How are you coming off? I know in the beginning, Ryle, when you transitioned, I probably was not coming off to be the champion I now am. I mean, it's been 10 years, and I have learned so much just through this podcast and through our relationship together that I realized in the beginning, I may have said that I was supportive, but I may not have been able to show it in the ways that I think I do now. It does make a dramatic difference. They talk about three kinds of allies. There's the ones called performative allies. There's a second one called passive people. And there's a third one called active accomplices. I would say I was one of those people in the beginning when you came out that was a performative ally. What's a performative ally? It's a person who uses their allyship to boost their own image to you or to other people around, saying, yes, I'm supportive of my son, which in reality I should have said, yes, I'm supportive of my daughter, and I didn't even hit the first point.
This is when you hear the political people talking about the woke ideology.
Yeah.
They're oftentimes having this person in mind. The person that is not really there to help people, not really wanting to be there, not wanting to do anything that gets them into trouble, but they want everybody to know. They want to stand out on the proverbial street corner and say, look at what a great ally I am. Look at how understanding I am, and look at what a great person I am, so that everybody says, oh, wow, yeah, you've really got it all together.
Well, to a point. When I first became what I'd call a performative ally, that was my first step. I might get to the point where I might put a little rainbow sticker in the window of my car. Actually, I don't have one of those now, but I would have no problem doing that. Or I might be seen agreeing with you, but I won't risk supporting you when other people say other things about that when you're not there. I wouldn't risk that at that point. That's what I think a performative ally is. And I just feel I couldn't handle that kind of a situation. Really, I didn't want to tell anybody. For a while, it was quiet. So I was trying to make believe I'm an ally. Not make believe. I mean, yes, I wanted to be an ally, but I was what they call a performative ally.
Now, the danger of a performative ally is this is the person that is out there and letting people know, look at what an ally I am. I'm here. But when it actually comes time that we need the ally, they're nowhere to be seen.
Right.
They're like the person that says, hey, you need anything? You just let me know, I will be there. And you say, actually, you know what? I really could use some help because I have to move right now and I don't have enough people. Oh, well, when are you doing it? I think I'm going to be busy that day. That's kind of the idea. The performative ally is the person that wants to say they're an ally, but doesn't actually want to be the ally.
And where you see where it disappears is in the moment when it costs them something. Like, it's going to affect my social status among my friends who aren't accepting it all. Or it just isn't convenient now for me to say something. Maybe somebody told a joke and I'll laugh anyway. It's not really anything. I'm okay as an ally when I'm in a safe spot, which is with you and my friends aren't around.
Right. Now, this may surprise you, but many of us in the LGBTQ plus community would rather be around somebody who is outright homophobic or transphobic than to be around somebody who is just a performative ally.
Yeah.
The reason is, at least with those other people, I know what I'm going to get.
Yeah.
I know to keep my guard up. But with somebody that says that they're an ally, but when the rubber meets the road, they're not there. When they need to actually stand up and do what's right, and they just kind of slink away, I would rather not be around that person because here is somebody that I thought I didn't need to keep my guard up around, and it turns out they proved me wrong.
Well, then you go to the next type of person, and we talk about the passive people. They're nice people. These are people that aren't hostile. They're not exactly standing between you and harm either. They are part of the group. They believe in equality, but they don't act on it. They might say, I support you privately, but they won't speak up publicly. They don't intend to do any harm, but they won't put any effort in trying to prevent it either. Sometimes they're afraid or confused or uninformed, and they choose comfort over courage because it's safer. They're not really there yet. The bottom line is they're pleasant to be around. They're nice people until you actually need someone to stand up beside you. And at that point, they're not quite there yet. I think I'm going to be busy that day.
And you can see there's some parallels between these two. The one person wants to broadcast it from the rooftops. Look at what a great ally I am. The nice person doesn't want to broadcast anything from the rooftops. They just want to say, hey, look, I'm here and everything is good and everything is nice. But they don't realize that we need allies because of how difficult life can be sometimes. And when we hit that spot right there, that we think, boy, I really would like somebody to stand up for me, again, they're not there. It's two different ways of approaching, but both of these types of allies, when we need you the most, you're not there.
That's true. When you first came out, Raya, my first thought was either I accept it or I lose you. There was nothing else. So that's what I wanted to do. But it was hard to do. I had to start out being a performative ally because I didn't know any better. And I thought I was in the right mood, in the right way. I'm taking steps forward. I still think that's okay. I tried to get where I am now. And where I am now maybe isn't where I'm going to end up being.
That brings us to the third one, and this is an active accomplice. This is a true ally. I love this word accomplice because it goes beyond just, I'm going to be an ally, I'm going to try to say the right thing, but this is the person that says, how can I put some skin in the game myself? How can I make sure that I'm not just saying that I'm there, but I'm going to actually show up? How can I do the right thing even when it's risky?
Right.
You think about an ally as somebody you can stand on the sidelines and you clap and you cheer. But an accomplice is somebody that says, I'm going to get in the game with you. Think of an accomplice in a heist movie.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
An ally would be the person sitting on the outside, but the accomplice says, I'm going to help you figure out how to get in there. I'm going to get those plans for you, and we're going to figure out, I'll be your hacker, or I'll be your your muscle, or I'll be the guy with opening the locks or whatever. The accomplice is the person saying, I'm going to help. I'm going to actually do the thing.
You know where I see a similar type of person? Often in church, as members of church. You've got the beginning people who are there. They're what you would say are there for show. One guy I remember saying, he was a banker in town. And he said, I don't know if I believe all this, but I go to church because it's good for business. That's kind of like the first person.
Yeah.
And then there are other people who say, oh, yeah, well, I'm not sure whether this is right or not, but I'm not going to take a chance. I just want to hedge my bet here. So I'm going, and I don't know if this is right or not. Until you get to that point, the very end, where you are an active accomplice with God, then you can say, it is right with my soul.
And so for us in the LGBTQ plus community, we're looking for ways that we can find the active accomplices because we need you.
Yes.
This is not something that would be nice to have. This is a time where it's vital to our survival, to our mental health, to the way that we navigate the world, because there are so many factors that are coming against us. And when you're there for us at the right time, coming and lending a hand, being that actual accomplice, helping us to get through where we need to be, boy, there's nothing like that.
Oh, I bet there is something like it.
And we're going to talk about how do we find those active accomplices right after this.
Hi, I'm Andy Barrett, a Lutheran pastor and a supporter of this podcast. I see Transcendent as a ministry. I've pointed many people toward these recorded conversations full of so much heart and care and warmth, as well as some of Joe's jokes, which are hands down the worst part of this podcast. But even they make me smile. I'm one of the many genuinely blessed by Transcendent, and I encourage you to join me in supporting this podcast by giving as little as $3 a month. Go to transcendent.com and click support.
So I'm in a new environment. And I'm just meeting people for the very first time, and I'm not sure how welcoming this space is. I don't know who I can be myself with and who I have to be more guarded with. How do I spot an ally? Well, we've got some techniques that people like me and others in the LGBTQ plus community can try to use. And then these will be great techniques so that you as an ally can also be thinking about, what do I do to put myself out there? One of the first things that we can do is we're going to scan for signals. We're going to look for things like, Are there pins? Are there stickers? There is a person I know that always wears an LGBTQ affirming pin that says, you are safe with me. And then it's got the rainbow. It's not real out there. It's not big. It's not aggressive. But every time I see it, I think, she is somebody that I know I can go to and I will be safe with her.
Sure.
I'm always looking for those kinds of things. And those little things matter. Now, again, I say little because the big things, then you wonder, are they really doing it for me or are they doing it for them, like we talked about earlier? But I know when I see those things, if I see somebody that has their email and they put their pronouns in their email, even though I know that they are a cisgender person, what that communicates to me is I care about my transgender, my non-passing transgender friends here and coworkers and my non-binary coworkers. I care about the people that it's not obvious, quote unquote, what their pronouns are. So even though you might look at me and see she, her right away, I don't want to send the signal to other people that we ought to assume. So I'm going to take the step and let people know. Now, some people are worried, well, is that just being performative? It seems so out there. But I'll tell you what, for somebody that is worried about sharing their real pronouns, somebody that uses they, them, but they're not sure if they can really be out at work, you now know when you see a cisgender person that puts their pronouns in their email or in their Zoom, that is somebody right there that stands up for the LGBTQ plus community.
Yes, that's right. And I've seen that more and more. That's not uncommon anymore. Well, it is uncommon, but it's becoming more and more common, which is a nice thing. And that doesn't mean anything except this is somebody that is probably an ally.
I think it matters even more in today's political climate. If we were to talk maybe a year or two ago, it was sort of something that many people would do. But now there's more pushback.
Yes.
As people say, oh, well, you're just being woke. Oh, you're just being... And so then now if you do it, you have to be willing to take a stand and say, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this because I want every single person in this office to know that no matter who you are welcome here. And I want you to know that I'm an ally and I stand with you. To me, that takes a lot of guts. And I know that somebody that does that, it's going to be one indicator that I'm going to be a little safer around them.
It makes them feel more comfortable and it makes you feel more comfortable. It's so much easier to form a relationship very quickly from that perspective. So suddenly you just get that feeling of relaxation. This looks pretty good. I'm comfortable around here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Another one that I use sometimes is because not everybody feels comfortable wearing outside, wearing a pin or a button or whatever. Different people work different ways. And as you said, you don't have a sticker up right now. I don't either. Well, I do right now because it's June, but not normally. It's just not who I am right now. So there's a lot more ways that you can sort of sneak something into a conversation.
I did think of something that happened just this past year.
Yeah?
Mom and I were in an airport waiting to board a plane. The woman across from us, sitting in her seat, looked over at Mom and she said, I like your socks. And she was wearing these pride socks. And it was just a way that they made a connection. And we talked with her for the rest of the waiting time in there, which turned out to be about 45 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
And it's one of those things that opens doors.
Yeah. So, but not everybody does those kinds of things. So It's great if you do. It's great when you can. But if you can't, there's also ways that we can probe just with conversation, just to get a sense. So we might use what I would call a low stake test. So for instance, I may say something like, hey, Pride is happening this weekend. I'm probably going to go with some friends. Do you think you're going to Pride? Or have you ever been to a Pride? The local one is happening here. Or you just mentioned something about, I watched a really great romance yesterday. 2 women that fell in love. Oh, it was just really heartwarming. And then see their reaction. How do they feel about that? Do they roll their eyes? Or do they say, oh, wow, that sounds great?
I do that myself. I will tell people, boy, we watched this great movie last night on Netflix. And I'll tell them about it. And it turns out that the people that I tell it to are people that I think are also affirming or certainly at least accepting. And sometimes they happen to be shows that I only recommend the show if it's a good show. And sometimes there'll be something that I did think, this was really a great show and it's worth everybody seeing.
Sure. Yeah. There's lots of things you can do. You can also just drop a comment about, the other day I was out with my friend and his boyfriend. And just a little comment like that. And then just see how do they react.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right.
I know I will sometimes mention when I am on a work call, not all the time, but sometimes, if somebody happens to mention to me about their partner and they happen to be a same-sex partner, I might just casually say, I really appreciate being able to work with family. And that's just an insider term that we will use in the LGBTQ community to say, okay, there's somebody else that's gay or that's lesbian, bisexual. They're family.
Uh-huh.
And so I'll just drop that and I'll say it's always good to work with family. And then they know that I know and I know that they know. And we just have that shared connection.
Use that same term with allies?
No. With an ally, I will say it's always good to have an ally.
Oh.
But there's a sense of when you've gone through it,
Yeah.
It's one of those, if you know, you know.
Uh-huh.
And those of us that are in the community, you kind of do a wink and a nudge. If you know, you know. But with an ally, then we have to find a different way to find those allies. One big one is to pay attention to who are they standing up for. You watch how they behave. It's like they say with people that are liars. If you see them lying when it doesn't matter to you and they don't mind letting you in on their lie,
yeah,
then you know that they're probably willing to lie to you as well.
And then I use the same thing when you run across somebody who is a gossip. Well, think what they're saying about all these people. What are they saying about me when I'm not there?
That's right. And that's the exact same point here, is that what are they saying about other marginalized people?
Yeah.
If they're making jokes, if they tell racial jokes or they're telling jokes about women, okay, well, they're probably not somebody that is a good ally. They're probably not somebody that you can really trust. But if when somebody else makes a joke, they say, hey, that's not really cool. And they make a point to stand up and say that, around here, we want to make sure that everybody is protected and respected. If they're standing up for other marginalized people, there's a good chance that they're going to stand up for you as well.
So before we move on, I want to invite you to take a moment for reflection. You don't need a piece of paper to write things down, but if you have it, that's great. But I want to have you take a little breath, get honest with yourself. I want to give you some questions that you can reflect on to see where are these people that you're surrounding yourself with. Think about this. First, I'd like to ask you, who are the people in your life that feel like allies, but haven't shown up when it counted? Who are those people? There are those, they feel like allies to you, but Are they there when the rubber hits the road, as you said earlier? What do you notice about these people? Another thing, can you name someone who has been a true accomplice in your journey? The accomplice, you like the accomplice name. A true ally. Can you name people like that? What do they do that make you feel safe and respected and supported around these people? What do they do? Think about that. By the way, have you ever thanked them for being a supporter? A lot of times the supporters don't know how you're feeling about that. And it does mean a lot to a lot of people. People respond to one another in different ways. Some people are that's going to mean a lot to them, and other people, it didn't really matter. Oh, I'm just here for you. But to thank them for supporting you and being your real authentic self, that goes a long way with people.
I can think of the last time that I did this, and it really made a big difference to me with my primary care provider.
Oh, yeah.
I see somebody that is not specialized in LGBTQ issues or in transgender issues. She does write my prescription for my hormones, which is really important. And I come in and I see her every single year for my annual physical. And we go through and she looks at my labs and we talk about my health and everything about that. And this last year I said, hey, I've been coming here for a few years now, and you've been really good to me every single year. And you've never made me feel disrespected or any kind of thing about you. I've never felt strange or odd or anything with you here. And I just want to say thank you. And, I was a little surprised that she was surprised that at how much it meant to me. But I wanted her to know, because not everybody treats things that way. Not everybody treats me like an equal, or that my health concerns are equal. And here's somebody that this is not her thing, but yet she still is right there for me, and I just wanted her to know how much that mattered. There's lots of times that happens, but when you treat people the way that you want to be treated, or you would want to be treated if you were in their shoes, it just goes so far. And that's really what we're talking about here. When we're talking about allies, accomplices, we're talking about, I don't just want somebody who gives lip service, but I want somebody that shows up. And I'm grateful for all the people that show up.
Oh, absolutely. 50% of our listeners are allies, maybe more. If you're an ally, I'd like to ask you, when have you been performative, or passive, or active? When have you been the accomplice in your own allyship? And for those of you who don't fit that category because you are LGBTQ, how about you? Have you been an active person or performative for other marginalized people? Remember, if you're expecting them to be that way with you, you also should be at the point where you are also those same kinds of allies for other marginalized groups. It does matter. And when you are both of that, when you are the recipient and you are the person that is the deliverer, I'm not sure that's the right word, that you begin to understand from both points of view. And that makes a big difference as well. So you want to be what you expect others to be to you. And with that, you'll have a lot happier life. And of course, you'll also have a happier life when you come back here every Monday to listen to our podcast. But I'm asking a favor of you this time, and I really want to encourage you to do this. we really would like you, if you want to do something to help this podcast, if you like this podcast and you're coming back every week, please share it with at least one other person.
It's a great way to use a low-stakes test to find out how do they react towards LGBTQ content by seeing how they react to this podcast.
Exactly. And with that, we'll see you Monday.